Listen, I don't know what it is right now that you might be going through, but what God wants you to understand your current situation. He wants you to know that you must fight. Fight for that love. Fight for that forgiveness. Fight to let go of that trauma. Fight for your connection with Him. Why? Because if you stop fighting, then you will lose hope, which would lead to a form of defeat. God wants you to know that when you're walking with Him, the fight and the battles are not yours. Instead, they are His. You must know that if things are happening in your life, do not be afraid to ask God why. Because God wants you to know you have not because you've asked not. And He's not talking about material. He's not talking about worldly possessions. He's talking about things that builds up your spirit. Things that come against you. You have to ask God, what is He trying to show you? You must not be afraid to speak your truth. You must not afraid to tell God how you feel. You must not be afraid to tell God what you're going through. Because of you not being afraid of telling God, that is going to allow you to be divinely protected, which is God's going to use to aid you to build a relationship with Him. If you take your focus off God, you will come to a form of destruction. Why? Because you will pick up things that are negative. Negativity, evilness, things of your past will always be present. But the only way that none of those things come near your dwelling is if you focus on God and God only. Through the storms, through the trials, through the tribulations, you must know that the fight is never over. The enemy is never done with the attack he has over your life, because the enemy wants to kill, steal, and destroy everything that God has for you. You as a person have to walk confidently in knowing that God has given you things that you have yet seen. Everything in life requires you to reach a certain type of level in your mentality, in your spirit, because everything is aligned with what God has for you. See, you as a person have been praying. You as a person have been asking God for things. And when God allowed the trial, when God allowed the enemy to tempt you, when God allowed things to start to happen to answer that prayer, in which you prayed to show you the difference between your way, or to show you that God has that for you. But as a person, if you're not constantly getting your face in front of God, if you're not constantly asking God the questions that needs to be answered based upon the signs that God has given you, then you will perish. Be encouraged and know that you don't have to have things figured out. You just have to have an open mind and to know that if God is allowing anything to happen, it's a greater reason that God wants to use to structure a relationship. So never stop praying. Never stop believing. Through the storms, through the tribulations, you will get through it. Stay focused on God and God only. Please.